After studying this module, you shall be able to know the background of humanistic and existential psychology, learn about the application of each school of thought, evaluate the relative strength and weaknesses of humanistic and existential theories. Introduction: Humanistic Psychology. Humanistic psychology is often referred to as the third force movement in contemporary psychology. The term humanistic was given by Abraham Maslow to describe a position that focuses on the creative potentialities inherent in human beings and that seeks ways to help them realize their highest and most important goals. Humanistic theories on personality emerged as a reaction to the psychodynamic and behavioral approaches, the forces which dominated psychology over a long period of time and portrayed a pessimistic and negative view of human beings. In contrast, the major theme of all humanistic theories is that all of us have an innate tendency to grow, which helps us to move towards the realization of our inner potentials. Different theories have given different names to these innate growth processes, such as drive towards self-actualization, self-realization, and selfhood. Existential psychology. Existentialism has been defined as a philosophical movement which emphasized on how an individual's existence is characterized by a sense of disorientation and confusion in the face of an apparently meaningless and absurd world. Soren Kierkegaard is considered as the first existentialist philosopher, but he did not use the term existentialism. He did not agree with Hegel's idea to understand reality by identifying it with abstract ideas or logic. Instead, Kierkegaard talked about the basic realities of human existence, or Dasein. Thus, existentialism, as being school of thought, is concerned with the nature of being. Some of the major ideas of this school of thought are that existentialists believe that existence that precedence over essence. The term existence here means to emerge or to become, while essence refers to the state of static. Thus, existence connotes change and development, while essence signifies finality or saturation. They perceive humans as both subjective and objective beings who must lead an authentic and active life to search the truth of their existence. They oppose the split between the subject and the object. According to them, humans are always searching for the meaning of their existence. They consciously or unconsciously are asking the question related to their being, like, who am I? What is the purpose of my life? What does humanity mean to me? What are the reasons of what we are and what we become? Though we form healthy and productive interpersonal relationships with others, ultimately we are alone. The choices that we make in our lives are solely ours. The existentialists believe that theories tend to dehumanize individuals and objectify them. Thus, they are strongly against theories. For them, authentic experience matters more than the artificial explanation of human nature. Applications of humanistic theories of personality. Abraham Maslow. Maslow introduced one of the most influential humanistic theories about the human personality. His theory had three distinct features: his assumption about human nature, his hierarchy of needs, and his study of self-actualizers. He drew upon his investigations of healthy and creative persons to arrive at certain formulations regarding personality. According to him, all humans are inherently good, and their inner nature is very delicate and subtle. It is easily shaped by habits, cultural values, and attitudes towards it. It can be tamed by training and socialization. He further explained that all humans have an innate tendency to realize their inner potential through love, joy, and doing creative work. He also proposed a hierarchy of needs. There are 5 major needs: physiological, safety, belongingness, love, esteem, and self-actualization. Each need is dominant at a given point of time, and once the lower level need gets fulfilled, it gives way to the higher need in the hierarchy. Maslow's aim was to improve other people's lives by his theory of personality. His theory has been applied in various areas as a part of human potential movement, which strives to improve the human condition by fostering the development of individuals to their highest potential through special training centers and through the transformation of social institutions like places of employment and school. Therapy. Maslow's theory had huge implication for psychotherapy. According to him, most people come for psychotherapy because their love and belongingness needs have not been fulfilled. Thus, the aim of psychotherapy is to meet these needs of the individual. He also emphasized that psychotherapy should be tailor-made according to the needs of each patient. Thus, while the traditional psychoanalytical psychotherapy may be best for neurotic patients, group therapy and encounter therapy may serve the needs of more healthy individuals. Building on the ideas of Maslow, therapists have come up with transpersonal therapy in recent years, which basically focuses on the various levels of consciousness that lie outside of everyday life. The basic goal of this therapy is to not only allow behavior modifications and cognitive restructuring, but also to help individuals evolve at the spiritual level. It draws from various traditional therapies as well as from the religious and spiritual traditions. It is of various kinds. Some meditative techniques are included in the therapy. Transpersonal therapists focus on the positive emotions and painful emotions based on Maslow's view regarding the higher order functions of human beings. In doing so, it aims to open the client's awareness to psychic realms where love, joy, serenity, and even ecstasy are present. Growth centers. These centers, like the Escalin Institute in California, are devoted to the development of human potential. According to Collinger, at these centers, group experiences as well as lifestyle changes, often involving communal living, enhance human potential. Workplace. Maslow's need hierarchy has become a major concept in industrial or organizational psychology. Career counselors can counsel people effectively and can also help them become actualized in the process by taking their level on the need hierarchy into account. Maslow's theory helps to understand what motivates employees. It says that needs are generally in an order. When a worker is employed, he is concerned with his basic level needs like food, water and shelter, and wants minimum level of rewards to fulfill these physiological needs. Once the first need is satisfied, the next level of needs arises. Consumerism. Companies advertise their products and services by appealing to the various needs of potential customers. Thus, Maslow's need hierarchy theory provides a framework for reaching the potential customers. Many products can be considered for various need levels. For example, many products like cars and clothes are often associated with the esteem needs of the person. Therefore, even the simplest of the products and services may appeal to the higher need of the individual. This often creates a demand of the product in the market and leads to the increased consumption. Religion and spirituality. Maslow often compared his theoretical concepts with various religious traditions and advocated for a more spiritual approach to psychology. He urged for a more spiritualized psychotherapy and took inspiration from the mystical religions of the East. The concept of self-actualization is a running theme in most Eastern religions. Maslow interpreted the experiences of the religious prophets as peak experiences that can bring insight into humankind in general, and not just to the individual having them. By rejecting the mechanical approach of psychology to human beings, Maslow contributed to the resacralization of psychology, that is, the importance of highest values in the human experiences. This can be, for example, by publishing poetry and personal testimonies in the scientific journals. Education. Maslow believed that the goal of education is the self-actualization of a person, the becoming fully human, the development of the fullest height that the human species can stand up to or that the particular individual can come to. Thus, the education is not merely about acquiring technical skills. It is important to inculcate curiosity in the child, to know more about the information that he or she receives in the classroom, and foster her creativity so that she can come up with the original ideas to understand the concept being taught. Thus, an ideal colleague, according to Maslow, is one with the students follow their own inner direction while engaging into meaningful and honest dialogue with the faculty. However, self-actualization of the students and faculty is needed for such a system to succeed, where self-directed learning takes place so that their choices would be directed towards growth. Gender studies. Maslow believed that both men and women must live up to their fullest potential and should not be constrained by rigid sex roles. Feminists like Betty Friedan and Gilligan were inspired by Maslow. He advanced that both men and women achieve self-actualization along different paths and routes, and there are inherent sexual differences between males and females. However, some feminists have criticized Maslow by saying that there are no difference gender-related paths to self-actualization as both men and women are equal. Carl Rogers. Rogers was the major proponent of one of the most popular approaches to psychotherapy called the person-centered approach. Rogers' theory majorly focused on the subjective experiences of the individual, as he felt that they serve the basis of understanding human behavior. His approach was based on the concept of phenomenology, that is, understanding the person with reference to his immediate conscious experience. His theory has been applied in various fields including education, psychotherapy, business, marriage, and relationship, even politics. Therapy. Based on the concepts and principles of personality development as conceptualized by Rogers, he proposed a new and unique therapeutic approach called person-centered therapy for the treatment of any psychological problem. He also pioneered the field of scientific investigation of this approach. According to him, the client himself has the ability to find the causes of his or her problems and make recovery from it. He or she is able to direct himself or herself towards self-actualization by overcoming the obstacle in his or her path caused by the incongruence between real self and ideal self. The unique aspect of this therapy is that the client is the center of attention and the role of the therapist is that of the facilitator. He provides a safe and secure environment to the client where he or she is able to explore their true self. The therapist is empathetic and shows unconditional positive regard for the client and his feelings. Here the clients are active participants of their own healing process. Humanistic education. Rogers wrote at length about the application of his theories and principal ideas in the field of education. He focused on the teacher-student relationship where he stated that the role of the teacher should be that of a facilitator rather than that of a dictator. In the traditional educational practices, the teacher holds immense authority and she directs and controls the students, treating them as passive beings that are laid back and have to be extremely or externally motivated to perform. This sort of teaching is often very rigid, restricted and too structured. Instead, Rogers aimed at fostering skills like creativity, innovation and communication. A class setting should be such that it promotes student and teacher interaction, where the personal experiences are accepted and shared. The teacher should not look down upon the student, should be accepting and show unconditional positive regard for their students. Thus, the teacher is perceived as an authentic and integrated individual. Marriage and relationship. Rogers believed that over the years a shift has been noticed in the institution of marriage and relationships. This shift has brought about changes such as social acceptability of divorce, women continuing or to work after marriage, and having sexual freedom. Thus, it is very important to have a person-centered approach which consists of mutual trust, respect and acceptance of the partner as he or she is. Kramer stated that in any romantic relationship or friendship, if either of the partner possesses growth-possessing qualities of acceptance, empathetic understanding and unconditional love, then the person possesses a higher self-esteem and greater congruence between the real self and the ideal self. Business. Person-centered approach is also applied to the industries and organizations. Managers or people of higher rank and order are provided with the guidelines to help them to deal with their employees. Employees must not be treated as subordinates who need to be pushed and pressurized to achieve a target. Rather, they should be seen as partners who have the innate potential to grow, achieve their goal and develop along the way. The relationship between the supervisor and the employee is similar to that of a therapist and the client or the parent and child as perceived by Rogers, where the supervisor provides the employees with all opportunities to grow and develop and is able to bring out the best in his or her employees by tapping their potentials and capabilities. This also motivates the employee to work harder and achieve the desired goal. Fostering of skills like creativity, problem solving, teamwork, etc. are also beneficial, not only to the employee but to the organization as a whole. Thus, the well-being of the employee is important for productivity. Political conflict, war and peace. Rogers believed that the political issue and peace issues can be dealt with through encounter groups. He stated that the individual can also achieve an enhanced psychological state and self-awareness in a group setting. He developed these techniques in the 1960s and early 70s for the purpose of bringing positive functioning and better health to a greater number of people. Group size ranges from 8 to 15 people. They typically meet 20 to 60 hours over several sessions. They begin with no formal structure or agenda. The group facilitator is not a leader in the usual sense. He or she establishes an atmosphere in which group members can express themselves, focus on how others perceive themselves. This exercise helps the members to achieve self-insight and become more fully functioning. Existential theories of personality. Rollo-May. Rollo-May's theory of personality is called the existential analytical perspective. His ideas and concepts regarding human personality is a combination of Freudian psychoanalysis and existentialism. According to him, people can be understood in terms of their subjective sense of self, and abnormal behavior is a result of the need to protect the sense of subjective self from the outer threats. So the person may give up on his self-growth in order to protect whatever little being is left. According to May, both existentialists and psychoanalysts believe the industrialization had a personalizing effect on the human being's relationship with his own self and the others. The forces of industrialization in the 19th century led to the dehumanization of the individual by fragmenting his personality. Thus, in his theories of existentialism, May tries to explain how these individuals tend to repress their self-awareness in order to protect themselves from the threat of the environment and consequently face neurotic problems. Therapy. The major implication of his theories is seen in the practice of the therapy, where the client who is lonely and empty and has lost the meaning in one's life is helped by expanding his conscious experiences. As May stated, the context is the patient not as the set of psychic dynamics or mechanisms, but as a human being who is choosing, committing and pointing himself towards something right now. The context is dynamic, immediately real and present. Problems can be resolved only when the therapist is authentic and is completely able to relate to the client, which would help the client to be able to express himself freely. Patients are cured when they become aware of themselves and become oriented toward their unique existence. He tries to reduce the suffering by changing the abnormal behavior of the people and focus primarily on positive growth and development. Education. The application of the ideas of May's theory can be studied in the field of education, where the role of a teacher is like that of a therapist. Teacher needs to be able to comprehend and accept idiosyncratic characteristics of their students and help them to grow and develop their unique potentials and talents. They should guide them towards their interest and find meaning in their life. Summary. Humanistic psychology is a part of third force movement in contemporary psychology. The major theme of all humanistic theories is that of us have an innate tendency to grow, which help us to move towards the realization of our inner potential given that the environment is conducive. Existentialism as a school of thought is concerned with the nature of being. Existentialists believe that the existence takes precedence over essence and that humans are always searching for the meaning of their existence. Maslow introduced one of the most influential humanistic theories about the human personality. His theory assumes that all human beings are innately good and they have a tendency to realize their inner potential. He also proposed a hierarchy of needs to understand what motivates human beings. Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been applied to various areas with the aim to improve people's life. His theory has contributed to psychotherapy, growth centers, workplace, advertising, religion, spirituality, education, and gender studies. Rogers was the major proponent of one of the most popular approaches of psychotherapy called person-centered approach. Rogers' theory majorly focused on the subjective experiences of the individual, as he felt that they serve the basis of understanding the human behavior. Based on the concepts and principles of personality development as conceptualized by Rogers, he proposed a new and a unique therapeutic approach called the person-centered therapy for the treatment of any psychological problem. Apart from this theory has also been applied to the areas of education, marriage, relationship, business, and politics. Rollome's theory of personality is called the existential analytical perspective. His ideas and concepts regarding the human personality is a combination of Freudian psychoanalysis and existentialism. According to him, the people can be understood in terms of their subjective sense of self, and he stated that the abnormal behavior is a result of the need to protect the sense of subjective self from the outer threats. His ideas have been applied to the areas of therapy, assessment, and education. Humanistic psychology has certain strengths. Humanism was the first school of thought that presented a positive and optimistic view about the human nature. The humanistic rejected the behaviorist mechanist view of the human beings as the mere reactors to the environment, and the psychoanalysis negative and animalistic view of human nature as driven by sex and aggressive tendencies, by arguing that human nature is too complex to be understood by the methods used by the two schools of thought. They developed a psychology that has its focus within the person. A major contribution of humanistic theory is a series of groundbreaking studies on the process of self-growth that occurred in psychotherapy. Humanistic psychology is the first school of thought to emphasize on the importance of individual. It highlights the role that an individual plays in controlling and determining his own mental state. It helped remove some of the stigma attached to the therapy by giving the credit to the individual in making their own recovery. Several new developments in psychology like positive psychology movement and self-determination theory have put the humanistic concepts back into the scientific spotlight. Humanistic school of thought has been criticized on several grounds. Some critics believe that the humanistic school of thought relies too heavily on the individual self-reports of their personal experiences. The humanistic concepts are vague and not operationally defined. Humanistic psychotherapy has been criticized for its non-directive approach to the client's problem. Existential school of thought has certain strengths. It is a very comprehensive model to understand the abnormal behavior and changing it from existential perspective. Individuality and autonomy is greatly emphasized. Great stress is given to free will. There are no generalization made from these theories. Each individual is seen as unique with their own experiences and viewpoint. No two people are alike. However, existential approach to personality has certain problems. Existential theory is quite imprecise and difficult to test. Terms such as being, potentiality, and guilt are vague and are not operationally defined. The theory does not readily lend itself to scientific inquiry. Existential theory has considerable redundancy, like in the concept of awareness, consciousness, self-consciousness, self-relatedness and self-awareness.